What if I told you that every time Billy Batson yells Shazam, he's not just calling on magic? He's literally invoking the power of 6 ancient gods? Yeah, that one lightning bolt isn't just for show. It's loaded with thousands of years of mythology that most fans completely overlook. Here's the wild part. Some of those gods don't even fit neatly with the powers Shazam is supposed to have. In fact, when you dig deeper, the mythology behind his powers raises more questions than answers. Like, why choose Achilles for courage when his story is all about vulnerability? Why Atlas, a figure cursed by the gods? Stick with me, because by the end of this video, you'll see Shazam not just as a superhero, but as one of the most fascinating mythological mashups in all of pop culture. So here's the thing. A lot of people miss. Shazam isn't just a flashy magic word. It's an acronym. Each letter stands for a legendary figure whose powers fuse together to create the ultimate superhero. S. Solomon's wisdom. Sounds cool, but think about it. Billy Batson is still a teenager. How much wisdom does he really have? That tension between divine smarts and kid logic is part of what makes Shazam hilarious and unique. H. Hercules' strength. Classic choice. But here's a twist. Hercules in mythology wasn't just about muscle. He was also chaotic, impulsive, and kinda reckless. Not exactly the role model you'd expect. A. Atlas's stamina. This is wild. Atlas didn't choose endurance. He was punished to hold up the sky forever. That's endurance through suffering. A pretty dark foundation for Shazam's power. Z. Zeus lightning. Okay, this one fits perfectly. Zeus was the king of the gods, hurling thunderbolts like it was his day job. No wonder Shazam's transformations look so cinematic. A. Achilles' courage. On paper, makes sense. But here's the irony. Achilles is most famous for his weakness, his heel. So, courage mixed with fragility? That's layered. M. Mercury's speed. Roman god of travel and communication. Basically the original Flash. His role highlights Shazam's mobility and quick thinking. So, when Billy shouts Shazam, he's not just leveling up. He's channeling a lineup of legends, each with their own messy, complicated stories. But here's the kicker. This lineup hasn't always been the same. Some versions of Shazam's myth swap out gods entirely, and that opens up a whole new can of worms. Here's where things get interesting. The gods tied to Shazam's powers aren't just cool names. Each one comes with baggage, and when you line them up, the contradictions are hard to ignore. Take Achilles. In DC lore, he represents courage. But in Greek mythology, Achilles' story is tragic. Sure, he was a fierce warrior, but he's remembered just as much for his downfall, the infamous heel. So, does Shazam's courage actually come with a hidden flaw? That twist makes the power way less straightforward than it looks. Or, look at Atlas. He's supposed to represent endurance, but endurance in what sense? Atlas isn't enduring because of choice or inner strength. He's cursed, forced to hold up the sky for eternity. That's not heroism, that's eternal punishment. Imagine building a superpower on suffering. Kind of unsettling, right? Then there's Solomon. He's the only human in the mix, known for his wisdom. But wisdom in mythology is messy. Solomon's stories include both brilliant judgment and big mistakes. So when Billy channels Solomon's wisdom, is he getting the idealized version or the complicated one? Even Hercules isn't as clean-cut as we think. Yeah, he's the symbol of strength, but his myths are full of rage, bad decisions, and guilt over terrible actions. Not exactly the kind of pure strength you'd want to hand to a teenager. And here's a fun one. Mercury. He's the Roman version of Hermes, the trickster messenger. So, Shazam's speed actually carries a connection to trickery and mischief, not just a sprint across the city. That means his quickness isn't just physical, it's also about cleverness and adaptability. Even Zeus, who feels like the safe bet, has a complicated history. Sure, he's the king of the gods, but he's also famous for being impulsive, vengeful, and, let's be real, pretty messy in his personal life. If that's the guy powering your lightning, maybe it explains why Shazam's magic doesn't always feel under control. What's wild is that these flaws and contradictions make Shazam way more compelling. He's not powered by perfect gods, but by legendary figures who were flawed, punished, or tragic. In a way, it mirrors Billy himself, a kid who's figuring it out as he goes, flaws and all. And if you think this lineup is complex, wait until you hear how Shazam's mythology changed over the years. Because in some versions, the gods you just heard about, they weren't even the same ones. Here's a detail most casual fans never hear about. The lineup of gods tied to Shazam's powers hasn't been consistent. The famous acronym, Solomon, Hercules, Atlas, Zeus, Achilles, Mercury is just one version. Back in the early comics, when Shazam was still called Captain Marvel, some stories actually swapped out which gods powered him. DC writers experimented with different pantheons depending on the tone of the era. At one point, the wizard Shazam himself hinted that the magical word could draw from other deities entirely, almost like it was a universal password into divine energy. That means Billy's powers aren't locked to a single set of gods. They're a part of a bigger magical system that adapts across time. And then we have Black Adam. His Shazam is a totally different lineup. Shu, Heru, Amun, Zehuti, Aton, and Mehen, the Egyptian gods. That not only highlights how flexible the magic is, but also creates a fascinating contrast. Shazam pulls from Greek and biblical sources, while Black Adam draws from Egypt. It's almost like the magical word is a key that unlocks whatever pantheon the wizard chooses to link it to. But that's not all. In some New 52 storylines, the gods connected to Shazam were updated or swapped out again, leaning heavier into Greek mythology to modernize his backstory. Even in the Trials of Shazam miniseries, Billy and Freddie Freeman had to earn their powers by facing mythological beings, sometimes replacing the original patrons. That shows how unstable and evolving this magical system really is. And here's the kicker. This makes Shazam one of the few superheroes whose very identity can change depending on which gods are behind him. Superman will always be Kryptonian, Batman will always be Gotham's vigilante, but Shazam, his powers, and even his character, shift depending on which myths DC plugs into the acronym. That instability makes him unpredictable, and way more mythologically rich than most heroes. And if Shazam can channel different gods depending on the story, it raises a big question. Could he one day evolve into something beyond even what we know? Or could the wrong set of gods make him just as dangerous as Black Adam? So, after digging through all these gods, contradictions, and retcons, what does it all really mean? Why does it matter that Shazam's powers come from a constantly shifting lineup of deities? Well, here's the thing. Mythology has always been about storytelling. Ancient people used gods to explain the unknown. Thunder, war, love, courage. Today, superheroes are doing the exact same thing. Shazam is basically proof that modern comics are our version of mythology. Think about it. Superman is our Zeus. Batman is our Hades. Wonder Woman is literally tied to the Greek pantheon. And Shazam, he's the mashup. He's the bridge between those ancient tales and a modern kid's wish fulfillment. Billy Batson is just a normal teenager, but when he says one word, he becomes the embodiment of legends. That's not just a power fantasy, that's timeless human storytelling. And maybe that's why Shazam hits differently. He's not perfect. He's not born a god. He's a kid trusted with flawed, messy, divine gifts, which honestly makes him feel more relatable than some of the cleaner heroes. His mythology reminds us that strength and wisdom are never simple. They come with baggage, just like us. So yeah, Shazam isn't just another superhero. He's living proof that mythology never really died. It just found a new costume, a new catchphrase, and a new stage. So there you have it. Shazam isn't just a kid yelling a magic word. He's literally carrying centuries of myth on his shoulders. Every time he transforms, he's pulling from flawed gods, shifting legends, and a magical history that refuses to stay still. And that's what makes him special. He's not just DC's other hero in a red suit. He's living proof that mythology never really dies. It just evolves. If you're still watching, you probably enjoyed this deep dive. So go ahead and hit like, subscribe, and ring that bell for more pop culture breakdowns.